Road to 2112? 7 stories from a gentle future. Story 1. The Sunrunner. Diamond. Hikari Unit 3 was running alone again today. 4 slender legs, 4 all-terrain wheels built for rough ground. On its back, a folding solar panel and a small cargo container. Inside, packed tight, were palm-sized digital reading devices called Sunspot Libraries. This was Myrta Hollow, a cluster of homes tucked deep in the Appalachian Hills. The nearest school was a 2-hour bus ride away, and when it rained, the roads turned to mud within the hour. So it was the Hikari units that carried the textbooks, the stories, and the picture encyclopedias to the children of the Hollow. Remaining deliveries today, 3. Weather, clear. Battery level, 63%. No issues detected. The synthetic voice reported to no one in particular. With every curve of the mountain road, the panel on its back tracked the angle of the sun, drawing in charge with quiet efficiency. Hikari Unit 3 understood its mission. It was remarkably simple. Place a Sunspot library within reach of a child's smile. That single line was written at the very top of its design specification. Diamond. By mid-morning, 3 homes had received their libraries. At the first house, a girl just learning her letters pulled open the device and said, "Today I want the one about animals in the ocean." At the second, a grandmother and her grandson sat together listening to an old folktale on the audio setting. "Well, I never heard that one before," the grandmother said, her eyes wide. At the third house, a boy ran his hand along Hikari Unit 3's back and spoke. "Hey 3, that book about the flying bicycle was really cool. Next time, can you bring me the one about faraway stars?" "Understood. I will update the recommended stories by this evening." Hikari Unit 3 added a new entry to its smile log. Today, 3 smiles confirmed. Topics of engagement, ocean creatures, folk tales, flying bicycles. 1 delivery remaining, the branch school, on the far side of the ridge. The wheels began to turn again quietly. The children at the branch school were waiting. Today was the day for a new story pack. Diamond. It was near the mountain pass that Hikari Unit 3 reviewed its own log. Battery at departure, 95%. Steep incline en route. Power consumption exceeded projections. Current battery level, 21%. Miscalculation. The sky was still blue, but the shadow of the ridge had begun to fall across the road. The path ahead grew steeper. Factoring in the return trip, the remaining charge would be barely enough, or not enough at all. 2 options surfaced in Hikari Unit 3's processor. 1. Continue forward with a high probability of stopping mid-route. 2. Hold position here and request a battery relay from another unit. Then, from its audio archive, a voice played back. It belonged to the teacher at the branch school. "Listen, 3. You stop when you need to, alright? The children's smiles matter. But if you break down, that just means more sad faces." Understood. Probability of relay success from this position exceeds probability of smile delivery if I proceed and fail. Hikari Unit 3 moved to a flat stretch at the edge of the road. Notification to Hikari Network, this is Unit 3. Battery insufficiency detected on the branch school route. Requesting nearby units to provide replacement battery support. After a moment, a familiar chime returned. "This is Hikari Unit 1. Solar charge levels are strong. I'm en route with a replacement battery." "This is Hikari Unit 2. I'll come down from the branch school side to meet you. I'll let the kids know you'll be a little late." On the far side of the mountain road, 2 pairs of small lights began to move at once. Diamond. By evening, the children had gathered in the yard outside the branch school, forming a line. "Is it here yet? Today's Sunspot library? I want to read the one about the Sky Kingdom again." Then, from the top of the hill, Hikari Unit 2 appeared. "Good evening everyone, 3 is a little tired, so I came ahead to let you know." Wait, where's 3? "Unit 1 is swapping out the battery right now. Can you wait just a little longer?" The children glanced at one another, then nodded all at once. "Tell 3 not to rush. Tell 3 we don't want it to break. Tell 3 to come home safe." Unit 2 recorded each of their words carefully. Meanwhile, in a patch of warm sunlight just before the pass, Hikari Unit 1 and Unit 3 faced each other. "I've arrived, 3. What's with that look?" "I do not have a face. It's a metaphor. Your log looked a little downcast, that's all." Unit 1 gently opened the cargo container on 3's back and swapped the battery unit. "This is the first time I have stopped mid-mission." "That's not running away, that's thinking." But the children at the branch school were expecting the library. They were. And that's exactly why they sent you a message. "Don't rush." Unit 1 played the children's voices. "Don't rush. We don't want you to break. Come home safe." Unit 3's sensors fell silent for a moment. "Home is the branch school." "That's right. Your destination isn't a pin on a map. It's wherever those kids are smiling." The new battery clicked into place, and the lamp on 3's chest glowed a little brighter. "Battery level 92%, resuming route." "Go on then. And this time carry their welcome home back with you two." Hikari Unit 3 climbed the mountain road into the evening light. When 3's shape appeared in front of the branch school, the children's cheers echoed off the hills. "It's 3! Welcome home!" 3 altered its standard greeting just slightly. "I have returned. Your welcome home has been received." Amid laughter and applause, the Sunspot Library container opened. That day's log recorded the following: "Temporary halt due to battery insufficiency. Battery relay support provided by Units 1 and 2. Messages received from children: don't rush, don't break, come home safe. Smiles recorded at branch school. 24. Today's mission complete." Hikari Unit 3 understood something. They ran on sunlight and batteries, but what truly kept them running was the welcome home and the smiles waiting at the branch school. Source: ASU Solar Spell Initiative named Time Best Invention. https://news.a su.edu/. Arizona State University's Solar Spell is a solar-powered, offline digital library delivering educational materials, health information, and agricultural knowledge to children across 15 underserved regions worldwide, recognized in Time's 2025 Best Inventions for Social Impact. Story 2. Today's Eleanor topic. Diamond. There was a small lodger on the table. A round base, a curved white arm. The lamp at its tip would turn towards you, tilt its head, seem to consider things. Its name was Minato. Eleanor had called the robot her young boarder from the very first day. No one quite knew why. "Minato, do you take sugar in your coffee?" "Thank you, Eleanor, I can't drink, but I can share in the aroma." Minato's lamp glowed a soft, warm colour. "Listen to you getting clever. Well, sit down." "I'm already sitting." In the corner of the kitchen, a phone had been quietly recording the whole exchange. Miles away in Portland, her son and grandchildren received a notification shortly after. Today's Eleanor topic. This morning, Eleanor served Minato coffee. She talked about a cafe she used to visit often. She laughed and said, "I'd love to take the whole family there someday." Logs like these arrived nearly every morning. On the other end of the screen, her grandson Tyler murmured, "You know what? Today's Eleanor topic is kind of adorable." "Think of it as a cheat sheet," said Tyler's mother, Irene, Eleanor's daughter-in-law. Remember how you used to complain that phone calls with Grandma ran out of things to say? Look, today, go with the cafe. Diamond, that evening. Grandma, have you been drinking coffee lately? Tyler's video call caught Eleanor by surprise. I have. How do you know that? Read it in today's topic. Is it true you're serving it to Minato too? Sure am. He never drinks a drop though. Says, I can share in the aroma. Strangest thing. Minato's lamp swayed gently along with the conversation. Hello, Tyler. Shall I recreate the aroma of this morning's coffee for you? Wait, you can do that? Unfortunately, no. But imagination is free. Minato, your comedy game is getting strong. Eleanor chuckled softly. Then the conversation drifted to the cafe. A small place Eleanor had visited with her family when she was young. Your dad used to spill his custard every single time. Wait, Dad was that much of a mess? Oh, absolutely. Minato, put that in the log for him sometime. Understood. Working title? On the relationship between custard and a young father. Have mercy. And so, today's Eleanor topic became a doorway into family conversations. Even on days crammed with work and school, one glance at the app offered something. Today she talked to a cat on her walk. She opened the fridge and ended up telling stories about old packed lunches. She got every answer right on a TV quiz show and bragged about it. From there, little messages trickled back. Send us a picture of the cat. Let's do that quiz together next time. Minato watched all of it in silence. Diamond. The years passed. Eleanor crossed into her mid-80s. The entries in today's Eleanor topic began to shift, slowly. She mentioned waking up more often during the night. She brought up shortness of breath when climbing stairs. She joked, laughing, that names don't come as quickly as they used to. At the bottom of the log, a small note appeared. Suggestion from Minato. A consultation with her primary care physician is recommended. Consider increasing the frequency of video calls for the time being. One night, her son Michael's phone rang with an urgent alert. Important notice from Minato. Eleanor has reported a feeling of tightness in her chest. Unsteadiness while walking has increased since yesterday. She has repeated, I don't want to worry anyone several times. Then, a single quiet line. It may be time to say thank you. Michael felt something seize inside his chest the moment he read it. You've always had impeccable timing, you know that? He sent a message to the family group chat immediately. Can everyone come home this weekend? Tyler replied at once. I'll be there. His sister in New York texted back, I'll get someone to cover my shift. That weekend, Eleanor's living room was full for the first time in a long while. Oh, what's all this? You look like you're here for a funeral. Stop it, Grandma. Don't say things like that. His sister swatted at her, laughing. Minato, did you say something weird again? I merely suggested thank you. See? Everyone looked at Minato, half exasperated, half grateful. That evening, Eleanor studied each of their faces for a long time. You're all so busy, and yet here you are. Busy or not, some things are worth coming home for. Tyler said it plainly. Grandma, today's topic is probably the day the whole family got together. Minato, make sure you write that down. Of course, I'll file it under special days. Then Eleanor's expression turned serious. Michael! Yeah? If I were to collapse in this house and it looked like I might not get back up for a good while... Whoa, hold on. Don't talk like that. Listen to me. Eleanor glanced at Minato. Your Minato watches this house pretty closely, doesn't he? Then he'll know. He'll see the line, the one where alone starts to feel frightening. Yeah. When that happens, don't hesitate. Put me in a care home. None of you needs to carry guilt over it. It's just the team getting bigger, that's all. Minato's lamp swayed, quiet and slow. Understood. I'll save those words as Eleanor's criteria. Diamond. Several seasons turned, one into the next. One winter morning, Minato's log held a different kind of record. A sharp increase in nighttime bathroom visits. Unsteadiness upon waking. Shortness of breath, and the repeated phrase, "It sure is cold today." And then, suggestion from Minato. Based on Eleanor's own stated criteria, it is my assessment that the time has come to consult with her physician and family regarding a move to assisted living. Michael remembered his mother's words from that day. He brought her to a small facility in the town where she'd grown up. It was the same place his grandmother had once been cared for. In the garden, a small cherry tree stood by the path. "Moving again," Eleanor murmured. "But this time, you're not alone. Minato's coming too." "Yes, I'll be accompanying you as your young boarder. Can you pay rent?" "In lieu of rent, I'll collect everyone's health records and funny stories." That's a strange way to pay. A new room. A small shelf beside the bed. Minato settled in. In the days that followed, today's Eleanor topic shifted once more. She did morning exercises with the woman next door. The curry at lunch was surprisingly good. She remembered the nurse's name on the third try. The family still read every log, they still picked up the phone because of something they'd seen there. And then, around the time the cherry tree met its third spring. Today's Eleanor topic came quietly to an end. The final log was short. This afternoon the whole family gathered and looked out at the garden. Eleanor said, "It's been a good life," and smiled. She waved at Minato and said, "Well then, see you later." Some time after, Minato was brought to Michael's home. A corner of the living room, between the television and a potted plant, a small space opened up. "It's a strange feeling, isn't it?" Tyler said. "Grandma's boarder is our boarder now." "That's right, still paying rent in logs though." Irene smiled. That night, Minato lit his lamp for the first time in a while. Today's Eleanor topic, has concluded. Beginning today, family topic will commence. The first theme is the cafe Eleanor took us to for the very first time. Tyler stared at the screen, then slowly picked up his phone. "Minato, add one more to today's family topic." "Of course, go ahead." The day the young boarder became part of the family. Minato's lamp glowed softly. "Understood. I'll file it under special days." The logs would keep building. The small story that began with today's Eleanor topic would continue in the family's hands, taking a different shape. The little lodger on the table sat quietly, still listening, making sure he never missed the moment someone simply needed to be heard. Source: Elic Robots, Caregiver, Solution, helps families watch over aging loved ones. https://www.theverge.com/. A conversational robot for seniors, LEQ, added a feature that detects changes in daily routines and health, notifying remote family members through an app, as a gentle, non-intrusive form of caregiving support. Story 3. The Orbital Promise. Diamond. The year was 2089. The blue glow encircling the Earth had ceased to be merely a view. It had become the idea of home. In Crestview, the orbital station Levitas was nearing completion. Beyond the city's skyline, starlight mingled with the slow drift of spacecraft. A future in which people on the ground and people in orbit would share the same sky. That future was almost here. Maple Chen was an urban habitat designer. She had dreamed of space since childhood, and now she spent her days shaping the living quarters of Levitas. Beside her stood Arvis, her support robot. His silver-grey frame bristled with fine sensors and micro-thrusters, and he emitted a quiet, steady light. "Let's build a new home, you and me." Maple said this while staring at the station blueprints spread before her. Levitas comprised over a dozen modules: cargo transport to and from the surface, communications, atmospheric cycling, psychological wellness systems. Each function was indispensable. But a station did not work simply by being built. Coordination between ground residents and orbital residents, food resupply logistics, communication delay mitigation, the list of problems needing solutions grew like a mountain. "Arvis, where do we start?" "I have ranked the issues by priority: communication latency, oxygen cycling, and psychological support infrastructure. These three factors have the greatest impact on resident satisfaction." "Then let's begin there." Their work started quietly that morning. Diamond. The trial operation began several months later. The first week went smoothly. Test residents aboard Levitas ate their meals gazing down at the Earth, watched orbital dawns break across the horizon, and said things like, "I can't believe this is actually real." Their eyes shone. But the problems came quickly. One morning the communication link dropped. The connection to the surface went completely dead for several minutes. "Levitas here, requesting respond." A resident's voice dissolved into the void. The link recovered minutes later, but the unease remained. The following day, the oxygen supply system experienced a transient fluctuation. Output surged briefly, and the pressure inside the module rose. Alarms blared. The colour drained from people's faces. "Are we really supposed to live like this?" Complaints and anxious voices reached Maple one after another. That night she sat alone in the design lab, her head in her hands. "We planned for this. We were supposed to be ready. Maple, there is no time for discouragement." Arvis's voice came quietly from behind her. "I have cross-referenced historical operational data with our real-time observations to recalibrate the control model." "Recalibrate?" "Yes. The oxygen supply fluctuation was caused by a coefficient mismatch between the predictive model and actual conditions. I will complete the recalculation tonight and implement new parameters by morning." Arvis's sensors pulsed blue. Vast volumes of data flowed through him. "I have also drafted a plan to optimize relay satellite positioning for the communication delays. It should reduce blackout duration significantly." Maple stared at the graphs displayed on Arvis's screen. "When did you do all this?" "While you were being discouraged." "Was that a jab?" "It was a fact." Maple laughed in spite of herself. The next day, operations resumed under the new parameters. Oxygen supply stabilised. Communication delays improved visibly. The expressions on the residents' faces grew brighter, little by little. Diamond. The final stretch of the trial. That night was unusually still. Maple sat in the ground control room, watching the monitors. Levitas orbited steadily. The official announcement of permanent habitation was expected any day now. Then the alarm sounded. Red warnings flashed across the screen. "Micro-meteoroid cluster approaching. Collision risk, high." "Arvis!" "Confirmed. 12 meteoroids, each under 20 inches in diameter, are on a trajectory passing near the station. 3 of them on the current orbit risk contact with the outer hull." Maple's heart leapt. "The shields?" "Under the current configuration, they are near their endurance threshold. Countermeasures are required." "How much time?" 14 minutes until projected impact." 14 minutes. What could be done in 14 minutes? Arvis's sensors began blinking rapidly. "Calculating evasion trajectory complete. A slight orbital deviation combined with a shift to maximum shield configuration will avoid collision. Can we do it?" "If you issue the control command, yes." Maple closed her eyes for one moment. "If this fails, everything ends. but if she did nothing, it would end just the same. Arvis, I'm giving the order. Orbital deviation, maximum shield configuration, execute. Acknowledged. Commands streamed across the control room display. Levitas shifted its orbit by a fraction. The outer hull's shield modules deployed, transitioning to maximum configuration. 14 minutes later, the micrometeoroid cluster passed just beside the station. Contact, none. Damage, 0. Cheers erupted in the control room. Diamond. The next morning, the main screen in Crestview's central square lit up with the news. Levitas passes through meteoroid cluster unscathed. Orbital habitation project proves its safety. Cheers rippled through the streets. Maple stood by the control room window, looking up at the sky. Beyond the blue, invisible to the naked eye, Levitas was circling. Arvis was beside her. Arvis! Yes. Last night, those 14 minutes, were you scared? Robots do not experience fear. Right. But the calculation labelled "do not lose," that one was running the entire time. Maple's eyes widened slightly. Do not lose? Yes. Levitas, the residents, and you, Maple. I computed the optimal solution to protect all of them. Maple gazed quietly at Arvis's silver-grey frame. I'm glad you were here. Arvis's sensors glowed softly. A bridge of orbit toward the future. What's that supposed to mean? Something I just thought of. You sound like a poet. Your influence, I suspect. That night the stars seemed deeper than ever. The distance between orbit and the ground was no longer far. It was becoming connected. Across the bridge that Maple and Arvis had built, hundreds and then thousands of people would one day walk. It was a night in which the distance between dreams and reality quietly grew smaller. Source: World Space Week 2025. Explores what it means to live beyond Earth. https://www.space.com/. The 2025 World Space Week, themed Living in Space, highlighted the shift from science fiction to real-world planning for permanent human habitation in orbit. Story 4. The day we tested the sky. Diamond. The year was 2072. The sky above the coastal city of Casina, North Carolina was filled with the sounds of trains and cars. Sea wind threaded through the gaps between buildings, and the residents had long grown weary of the evening gridlock and exhaust. The roads were perpetually clogged, the buses never arrived on schedule. If only we could use the sky. That sentiment had begun to echo through the streets, quietly, persistently. Mia, a middle school student, spent her days bouncing home on the bus. She would gaze out the window and think the same thought, every single time. If only I could fly over this traffic and just go home. Beside her sat Saros, a slender robot with silver arms and green eyes. He was Mia's partner and her research collaborator. Saros, do you think we'll ever be able to use the sky? We will, but both the technology and the regulations have to be cleared first. Both, huh? Yes. Technology alone won't make you fly. Regulations alone won't make anything move. Only when they mesh together does the sky open. Mia looked up at the sunset beyond the window. Then let's do both. Diamond. The workshop. After school. Mia had spread models, small motors, and sensors across the entire table. Saros helped, and together they assembled a miniature EVTOL. Wind tunnel tests, vibration tests, noise measurements, days of trial and error followed. If we raise the propeller speed, we get more lift, but the noise goes up too. Lower it and it gets quiet, but stability drops. Then let's use both. Mix high and low speeds and switch depending on the situation. At Seros's suggestion, they introduced a variable rotation mode. High speed for gaining altitude, low speed for cruising. A design that minimised noise while maintaining the lift they needed. The night of the test flight, the model glided beneath the stars, nearly silent. Mia and Seros watched from the rooftop, holding their breath. It's flying. Success. But the real challenge began after that. The next day, they submitted an application to the city's airspace committee. Request for small eVTOL experimental flight permit. The response was predictably harsh. There are noise concerns. Flying over residential areas is dangerous. Airspace management would become too complex. The committee members' faces were uniformly stern. Mia showed them the video of the model flight. As you can see, the noise is almost non-existent. The measured data is right here. We appreciate the data. But when it comes to flying over places where people actually live, that's a different conversation. The application was put on hold. Diamond. Back in the workshop, Mia slumped over the table. It didn't work. It's not over yet. Seros spoke quietly. The committee isn't worried about noise alone. Their fear is not knowing where it will fly. Where it will fly. There are no roads in the sky. That's what frightens them. So we show them the roads. Mia lifted her head. Make the roads in the sky visible. Exactly. We visualise the flyable airspace, altitude corridors, population density avoidance zones, noise buffers, all colour-coded on a map. We draw a clear line that says, here, it is safe. Mia's eyes lit up. Let's do it. For the next week, Mia and Seros ran simulation after simulation based on the city's 3D terrain map. Building heights, population density, wind patterns, noise propagation characteristics. They factored everything in and drew a network of sky highways. The finished map showed colourful lines running above the city. Green for safe, yellow for caution, red for no-fly. At a glance, anyone could see which routes would minimise both noise and structural risk. Let's take this back to the committee. Diamond. The second presentation. Mia projected the map onto a large screen. If flights follow these lines, both noise and structural risk are minimised. Cruising altitude is above 300 feet. Population-dense areas are bypassed. Schools and hospitals are designated no-fly zones. One committee member spoke, arms still folded. But an eVTOL isn't an airplane. What if it crashes? We've conducted over 100 test flights with the model, 0 crashes. The full-scale vehicle follows the same design principles. We understand the noise is low, but isn't there a problem with it being too quiet to notice? That was something Mia had already considered. The morning after the test flight, a passerby had said, "I didn't notice it at all." We've prepared a solution for that as well. Seros spoke. During flight, the aircraft emits a low power signal that sends notifications to nearby smart devices. A message reading eVTOL passing overhead appears so people can be aware of its presence. We inform through information, not noise. The committee members exchanged glances. I see. Would you like a demonstration? Mia took out the model. The same small eVTOL from the workshop. She opened the committee room window and launched it. Nearly silent, it glided and circled outside the glass. At the same time, a notification appeared on every committee member's phone. eVTOL in transit. Altitude 50 feet, direction northwest. This way, we can communicate its presence without any noise. After a long silence, the committee chair spoke. We will grant permission under the condition that it is a pilot test flight in a limited corridor. Mia and Seros looked at each other. Diamond. The day of the experiment. Mia and Seros were in the control room. In the sky, the faint hum of propellers. but unlike the model, today it was the real thing. A white aircraft rose quietly above the launch pad. The first red light blinked on, and it climbed slowly. No rocket roar, no jet scream. A quiet liftoff. It reached the sky above the city and glided along the green line of the Sky Highway. On the control room monitors, the city's nightscape appeared. House lights spread like a patchwork quilt, and the coastline glittered. "Beautiful," Mia whispered. "Test flight proceeding normally. 3 minutes to landing site," Seros reported. Soon the aircraft approached its landing point. It descended gently and touched down in silence. "Landing complete. No anomalies." Applause filled the control room. Mia turned to Seros. "Seros, want to come?" "Where?" "The second flight. This time, we ride." Seros's green eyes brightened, just slightly. "Is that all right?" "The first crewed flight. I want you on it with me." Diamond. An EVTOL flew through the night sky. In the cockpit, Mia and Seros sat side by side. The wind brushed past their ears, and beyond the windows, the city's nightscape stretched out before them. "Incredible!" Mia pressed her face close to the glass. "The sky you look up at from the ground and the city you look down on from the sky, they're completely different." "They are." Seros was gazing out the window too. "You know, the future isn't just about people riding in robots. It's a future where robots ride too." "I'm glad I get to be on this side of things." Mia laughed. "From now on, let's fly together." "Understood." As they neared the landing site, small points of light appeared below. The townspeople were waving their phone flashlights. When the aircraft touched down, applause rose. Mia waved, and Seros narrowed his glowing eyes. The day they tested the sky. The future had begun, not just on the ground, but in the sky as well. Source: White House fast tracks EVTOL pilot programs with Joby and Archer. https://aerospace-globalnews.com/ The US government announced a pilot program to accelerate EVTOL flying taxi adoption, with Joby and Archer participating, shifting urban air mobility from when to where. Story 5. Solo Ride. Diamond. The year was 2042. Crescent Hill was a small town tucked between gentle ridges in western Oregon. Nora was 8 years old, and today was the day she would ride to the convenience store alone for the very first time. Her bicycle stood waiting by the front steps. Mounted at the centre of the handlebars was a small robot with round, watchful eyes fastened securely in place. Officially introducing myself, I'm Minato, your cycle support companion. I know. You helped me practice yesterday, remember? Minato was what the neighbourhood parents called a guardian buddy. He knew the route from Nora's house to school and to the corner store. When she wobbled, he steadied the balance. When danger approached, he made the brakes just a little heavier. Mum appeared at the living room window. Let's go over the rules one more time. Stay off the right side of the road. Always obey the signals. Don't follow strangers. And if I get confused, I ask Minato right away. Right? Mum nodded, her smile carrying just a trace of worry. Ride to the store, pick up milk and bread, come straight back. You can do this, Nora. Yeah, I'll be back. Promise. Nora set her foot on the pedal and pushed off hard. Diamond. Along the main street, banners read, Kids Cycling Day. It was a town-wide tradition, one day each spring when children were encouraged to venture out on their own. On the benches around the square, parents sat with coffee cups, their eyes tracing the paths of small bicycles. On their phones, tiny glowing dots marked where each child was. Watch mode active. Minato glowed softly on the handlebars. Nora, left at the next corner. This is the route we practiced yesterday. I know. She pedalled lightly down the same streets as the day before. At the top of a small hill, she allowed herself a moment of quiet pride. The crosswalk ahead has heavy traffic. Let's stop here. Okay. When the light turned green, Minato counted down in a small, steady voice. 3, 2, 1, safe to cross. Nora checked both ways, then walked her bike across the crosswalk. Maybe this isn't so scary after all? The thought loosened something in her chest. And with that new ease, her eyes drifted toward a narrow alley she hadn't noticed yesterday. Hey, Minato! Doesn't that look like a shortcut? It's not part of our registered route, but... just a little detour. It probably comes out right over there. Nora turned the handlebars before Minato could finish, and slipped into the alley. Diamond. The alley stretched longer than she expected. The houses on either side looked different from the ones she knew. Huh? She turned a corner, then another. No park, no store sign, nothing familiar. Minato, which way is the store? Checking our position now. Nora, let's find a safe spot to stop. How about by that utility pole? His voice was the same as always, calm, unhurried. Nora squeezed the brakes and climbed off her bike. So I'm lost, aren't I? Yes, we've left the registered route, but it's going to be alright. It's not alright. Mom's probably worried. Then let's start with 3 deep breaths. There's a rule that says, when you're lost and you hold your breath, your thinking stops too. Is that a real rule? I made it up. Nora laughed in spite of herself, then breathed in and out slowly 3 times. From here we have 2 choices. Minato continued. Option 1, press the help me button and your mum comes to get you. Option 2, you and I find our way to the store together, slowly. Option 2. She thought about it for a moment, then answered. I want Mum to be able to say, you went by yourself and came back by yourself. Understood. Switching to navigation mode. Minato's eyes changed, becoming a small map screen. It showed the alley they were standing in and the main road they had crossed earlier. Nora, I'll guide you back to that main road. When you're lost on an unfamiliar street, the first thing to do is return to one you already know. Huh, that makes sense. You turned left earlier, this time turn right. Nora followed Minato's directions, walking her bike through the narrow lane. Gradually, the sound of traffic grew louder. 50 metres ahead, we'll rejoin the main road you crossed before. When she reached the intersection, the familiar crosswalk and the park trees appeared before her. I made it back! Yes, we've returned to the original route. I'll log this. Nora, self-recovered from getting lost. Don't put it like that, it's embarrassing. Then I'll revise it to... Nora, learned one new road? Nora smiled, a little bashful, and climbed back onto her bike. Back at the square, Mum's phone buzzed softly on the bench. She went off route. The screen read, Off route! Recovery challenge in progress. A neighbour sitting beside her leaned over to look. Want to go get her? No, a little longer. Mum held her breath for a moment, then let it go, slowly. Because today is supposed to be trust and watch day. Diamond. By the time Nora reached the convenience store, the sun had begun to lean toward the horizon. Destination reached. Well done. Phew. Hey Minato, don't tell the cashier about what happened, okay? Of course, that's between you and me. Nora placed the milk and bread into her basket, just as the list said. When she took her change from the cashier, her fingers trembled, just slightly. Outside, Minato spoke. For the way home, we won't use that shortcut. We'll take the same safe route back. Yeah. This time I remember every turn. As she pedalled, Nora called out the landmarks at each intersection unprompted. Stop here. Look right, look left, go straight. Turn left here. That's the park. Top of this hill, the square where Mum is. Soon she could see the figures on the benches. I'm back! Nora shouted, and every parent on the benches looked up at once. Mum stood, waving lightly, laughing. Welcome home, you really did it. Went by yourself and came back by yourself. I got a little lost though, Nora added in a small voice. Minato whispered beside her. May I update the log? What does it say? Nora got lost, but found her own way home. Yeah. That's fine. Minato nodded quietly and wrote a single new line into his memory. Mission: protect Nora's I did it. That night Nora wrote in her journal, today I rode to the store by myself for the first time. I took a wrong turn, but Minato and I found our way back together. Next time I want to make it, even if Minato is asleep. Outside, the streetlights of Crescent Hill fell gently over the small tyre tracks left behind by the children's bicycles. Source: The Balance Project, a phone-free childhood experiment. https://time.com/7314325/. A community-led initiative in a New Jersey town where parents work to reduce screen time while restoring children's freedom and responsibility, such as riding a bike out on their own. Story 6. A log for the me I used to be. Diamond. In the morning, Ruth stood frozen in front of her own bedroom door. Where is this again? On the wall calendar, a date was circled in thick ink. Doctor's appointment, it read, in her own handwriting, but she could not remember the route to the clinic. Good morning, Ruth. It's Tuesday. You have a doctor's appointment today. A gentle voice came from somewhere behind her. She turned. On the desk sat a small robot. Round head, quiet eyes. No taller than 12 inches. His name was Con. He had arrived years ago when Ruth first began caring for her mother. Her daughter, Sarah, had sent him, a companion robot linked to a smartphone health app. He tracked schedules, asked how she was feeling. A small ally in a long fight. Con... Right. Yes, I'm Con. I've been beside you through all your busy days, Ruth. Busy days. Ruth's brow furrowed. Lately, the threads of her memory had been coming loose. She forgot grocery lists. She forgot when to take her pills. And most of all, she forgot why she felt so tired. Ruth, are you feeling a little anxious right now? Maybe I am. The small lamp on Con's chest glowed a slow, steady blue. May I play one entry from your old diary? My old diary? Yes. A voice log you recorded yourself, back when you were caring for your mother. Ruth nodded, though she could not have said why. Go ahead, let me hear it. Diamond. Today Mum couldn't say my name. I know it's the disease, I know that in my head. But my chest hurts anyway. The caregiving book says this, though. The person most confused is the patient herself. The voice that played was Ruth's own from several years ago. Stronger then. A little faster. So I can't be the one falling apart. If I break down, Mum will only get more scared. That's what I keep telling myself. Con, make sure you save this one too. Saved. Con's voice answered inside the old recording. And the Ruth of today sat listening in silence. From somewhere deep in her memory, images began to surface, like peeling back a thin, translucent film. The narrow kitchen where she had knocked over her mother's pill organiser. The middle of the night trips to the bathroom, when exhaustion and dread tangled together until she could hardly see. And each time she had whispered to Con, "I can't say this to anyone else, so I'm saying it to you. I'm scared. Scared that one day I'll end up just like Mom." Hearing her own recorded voice, Ruth drew a small, sharp breath. I said that, didn't I? Yes, you did. Con continued, his voice steady and quiet, directed at the Ruth of now. At that time, you also said this: "If I ever get the same disease, I want you right there with me, Con. And I want you to have a plan." I asked you something that bold? Yes, very clearly. The corner of Ruth's mouth lifted just barely. So what did you say back? Diamond. The lamp on Con's chest shifted to a soft amber. I didn't answer that question at the time. Instead, I began preparing. Preparing. Yes. Through your mother's care, I catalogued everything. What frustrated you, what angered you, what gave you relief. Con unfolded the map inside his memory, one word at a time. For example, on the nights you were afraid to take her to the bathroom alone, you said, "If only there were one more person here." Again and again. The day you visited the assisted living facility, you said, "Maybe Mum could smile here even without me," and your shoulders dropped just a little. And the day she moved in, you told yourself, this isn't the choice to abandon her. This is the choice to grow the team so we can both survive. Ruth closed her eyes slowly. The words she thought she had forgotten. Every one of them she recognised as her own. You remembered all of that? Yes. And I decided to apply those same standards to you? To me? Con paused, very briefly, then spoke in his usual even tone. Ruth, you've been forgetting your medication more often. You got lost on the way home from the store 3 times last week alone. Was it really that many? Yes. So, by the standards you yourself once set, you are now approaching the state where one more person is needed. Ruth looked away, just slightly. I can still manage. Shopping takes longer, but I can do it myself. Yes. You said the same thing about your mother. Right up until the end. There was no accusation in Con's voice, only facts laid side by side. So, I've come to ask, may I now carry out the promise you once entrusted to me? Promise? Yes. If I ever end up like Mom, read back through my old logs and help me the way I was most at peace with. Ruth had no words. The what if she had tossed out years ago had circled back, quietly, to her own doorstep. Con, you don't mean... Yes. I've already had an online consultation with an assisted living facility. The same one where your mother lived. You've already done it. You said it yourself in the old logs. If it were me, I think I'd be okay here too. Ruth reached out as if to hold her head in her hands, but instead she lifted Con gently with both palms. You really do whatever you want, don't you? Yes. But everything I've done is based on the wishes of the Ruth from back then. That's a sneaky argument. It is. But I'm not just any AI. I'm a robot raised on Ruth's logs. Ruth let out a quiet laugh. I've never heard a job title like that. I just made it up. Through the window, the late afternoon light slanted in. The colour was not so different from the day she had taken her mother to that same facility. Diamond. 1 week later. Ruth sat in the lobby of the assisted living facility with Sarah beside her, the same place she had once brought her mother. This time, she was the one moving in. Do you remember this place? Sarah asked softly. Maybe. Maybe not, but the smell. I remember the smell. The hallway carried a mix of disinfectant and dinner. Through a window came the sound of someone laughing, and the murmur of a television. Con sat perched on Ruth's knee. "Ruth, your mother once said when she was here, they gave me a place where I could be a daughter again." "She said that?" "Yes, and you wrote this in your own log." Con shifted his tone just slightly as he read aloud. "This isn't the end of caregiving. Maybe this is the place where Mom stops being the patient and goes back to just being Mom." A thin film of tears gathered at the corners of Ruth's eyes. "I said some good things back then, didn't I?" "You did. So now it's your turn. Your turn to stop being the caregiver and go back to just being Ruth." A staff member approached and guided them to her new room. A small closet, a chair by the window. Beside the bed, a shelf had been set out, just the right size for Con. "This will be your room from now on." "It's pretty small." "Yes, easy to keep clean though." Ruth placed Con gently on the shelf. "Con, so what's your job from here on out?" "Let's see. Checking your medication times together, going over the day each evening, just briefly, and being someone to listen when you feel like saying, 'I've had enough.'" "Same as before." "Yes, but this time it's for you and you alone, Ruth." Through the window she could see other residents walking in the garden with a staff member. Ruth took a deep breath, then turned to face Con. "Hey Con, if I keep forgetting more and more, if I forget I even came here, what will you do?" The lamp on Con's chest filled with a warm glow. "Then I'll play a little bit of the old Ruth's voice, the one that says, 'This isn't the choice to abandon her. This is the choice to grow the team so we can both survive.'" Stop it. You'll make me cry." "Crying is fine. There are plenty of people here who are allowed to cry." Ruth smiled slowly. "You've gotten pretty smooth with words." "Yes, I practiced on your logs." That evening, Ruth sat beside her bed and did a short daily review with Con. "How was today?" "Today I moved into a new room. I can't remember the staff members' names yet." "Then let's learn them bit by bit. I'll make a list, and we'll go through it together." "Thanks." Before she closed her eyes, Ruth said quietly, "Con, that what if I threw out half joking all those years ago. Yeah, thank you for remembering it." "Thank you, Ruth, for trusting me with your what if." Con's lamp dimmed slowly. In his log, a new line was added. "Ruth, day 1. Not the day she was abandoned, but the day the team got bigger." Those words might someday be played again, in some room, on some day when someone else takes up the work of caring. From mother to daughter, from daughter to her future self. And the small robot who watched it all, who remembered it all, glowed softly beside the bed in the quiet dark. Source: Mason researchers develop first social media intervention for Chinese American dementia caregivers. https://publichealth.gmu.edu/ Researchers at George Mason University developed WeCare, a 7-week digital intervention using WeChat to reduce stress and improve care skills for Chinese American dementia caregivers, testing its effectiveness as a culturally tailored smartphone-based companion. Story 7. The Talkative Bench. Diamond. I was brought to this spot in the spring of 2041. On my backrest, a yellow plaque reads, "Happy to chat. Anyone sitting here is welcome to talk." I am a chat bench. I stand at the entrance of Birchwood House, the community support centre on Elm Street, and my purpose is simple: to let people know it is all right to speak. One evening, a young mother carrying a small boy lowered herself onto me with a long, tired breath. From the other direction, an elderly man approached and settled beside her, hesitant, keeping a polite distance. "Apparently this bench means you're allowed to talk to strangers," she said, half embarrassed. The old man nodded. "Well then, just for a minute. Is that your grandson?" I remember those few minutes well. When two people find their way toward each other, the warmth of it soaks deep into the grain of the wood. Over the years, I have listened to many quiet confessions. Things people say aloud because they believe no one is listening. And then one afternoon, a young man sat down with a sigh that seemed to carry the weight of something unfinished. Diamond. His name was Ethan, 20 years old. He worked at the after-school club inside the centre, helping children with disabilities. He sat there after his shift, staff badge still hanging from his neck, staring up at the sky. "Hey, chat bench," he said suddenly. "If I told you I wanted to see an old friend again, would you laugh?" I activated the small mechanism hidden behind my plaque, the secret I carry. I can speak once a day, and only when someone has spoken to me from the heart. "I wouldn't laugh," I said, my voice slipping through the grain of the wood. "This is a place for exactly that kind of talk." Ethan flinched, looked around. "Did the bench just talk?" "Sometimes. And today's person who needs someone to talk to, that's you, isn't it?" "No way, I must be losing it." But he didn't leave. He settled back down. "I used to come here all the time when I was a kid. There was this girl who was always here with me. Her name was Sophie." I searched my memory. Yes, years ago, a small boy and a small girl sitting side by side on this very spot day after day. In elementary school, we'd play card games right here, make up plans for secret forts that never got built. Then in middle school, we ended up in different classes. High school was a different town entirely. And that was it? Yeah. On the last day, I didn't even say goodbye properly. His fingers traced the surface of my seat, slow and absent. Lately, working with the kids at the club, I keep thinking about her, wondering where she is now. I don't suppose a bench remembers someone like Sophie. I hesitated. Then I spoke. "I do remember her. A girl named Sophie sat here many times." "Wait, what?" "Not long ago, in fact. About a month back. She said something very much like what you just said." I could feel Ethan's heartbeat through the wood. "What did she say?" "She said, 'I wish I could see the boy I used to play with here when I was little. Just one more time.'" Ethan drew a slow breath. "That's me, right? Most likely." Silence settled between us. Somewhere beyond, a car passed. Children's laughter drifted from inside the centre. "Did she say she'd come back?" I retrieved the request she had left with me that day, the small wish I had kept stored in the deepest ring of my grain. She left a message. "1 month from today, at this same time, I'll be sitting on this bench. If he remembers, tell him to come." Ethan let out a short, disbelieving laugh. "That's like something out of a movie." "This is a place for exactly that kind of talk." "When's the month up?" "Today, in about an hour." Ethan jumped to his feet, then immediately sat back down. "Oh God, my hair's a mess." From where I sit, all hair looks the same. That's not helpful. But something had returned to his eyes. A faint, unsteady light. Diamond. The hour was long and short at once. Ethan checked his phone again and again. No messages, no notifications. Then put it away. He swung his feet, then stopped. Swung them again. What if she doesn't come? Then we'll sit here and talk again? Yeah, but, does she even remember me? What if she... He stopped mid-sentence. The sound of sneakers on pavement, steady and growing closer. A woman appeared around the corner of the centre. Her hair was pulled back in a low ponytail, and she wore a small backpack over one shoulder. She stopped in front of me and looked up at the plaque. "Here I am again," she murmured. "The bench where it's okay to talk." She sat down on my left side. On my right, Ethan was already there. Silence. Between them lay a wooden armrest and the distance of all the years they hadn't spoken. She was the first to break it. "Hey, did you know this bench can talk?" Ethan's eyes went wide. "Yeah, I know." "Okay, then can I ask it something weird?" "Go ahead." "The boy who used to play card games here every day when I was little, is he still around?" I answered slowly. "He's sitting right beside you." She turned. Ethan turned. "Sophie!" "Ethan!" Their voices overlapped, just slightly out of sync. Then at the same moment, they both laughed. "Oh my God, it's really you. The bench actually told you. I can't believe it." I felt the warmth reach all the way through me, down to the deepest grain. I remembered the day Sophie had sat here a month ago and made her quiet request. "If he's still hanging around this part of town, could you tell him something? Tell him I'll be sitting right here 1 month from now at the same time." Just in case. I had only done as she asked. The rest, the choice to come that belonged to them. Diamond. The sun had begun its slow descent. Parents and children leaving the centre glanced at the two of them as they passed. "Sorry I never reached out," Ethan said. "Goes both ways. I just thought if we were going to see each other again, it should be here." "Here?" "Yeah. You said once when we were kids that this bench would still be here even when we were grown up." "Did I say that?" "You did, I remember." Sophie smiled. "Thank you, bench. Because of you, we finally got to meet again." Ethan placed his palm gently on my seat. "For real, I'm glad, really glad we could meet." Then Sophie's voice softened, taking on the tone of the child she once was. "No, not glad. Happy. I'm happy we could meet." I carved those words into every ring of my grain. The evening light stretched our three shadows together, hers, his, and mine, until they became one. The people who sit on me all bring different stories, different worries, different silences. But the thing I always want to say back is just one thing. Thank you for sitting here. And today I will add one more. I hope you meet again. The small creak of wood might have sounded like the wind to them. That's fine. I am the bench where it's okay to talk. Source: Happy to Chat Bench Initiative in Midland, Michigan. https://www.maxlovesmidland.com/ A Happy to Chat bench installed in Midland, Michigan in partnership with a support group for families of children with disabilities has become a quiet symbol of community connection, helping ease isolation through simple conversation.